Now, if you're a vegetarian or you have one in your life, it's a good idea to arm yourself with some meals that are meat-free, but hearty enough for everyone to share. I'm going to start by filling up a pot with some water for the penne pasta. And out of the fridge, let's grab the 3 vegetables. I'm going to use haricots verts, those are just thin green beans, and about ½ pound of asparagus, half a bundle, and a medium zucchini, that's a little guy, isn't he? And I'm gonna grab my pine nuts as well. I keep them in the fridge so that I can get the longest life out of them. Pine nuts are filled with oils, and if you keep them too warm, the oils can go rancid and spoil the nuts. So you get a nice long life out of them, keeping them in the fridge or the freezer. I'm gonna just cover the bottom of a skillet here with them. I love pine nuts because they're nice and buttery and extra delicious. And as with any nut, you're gonna get the most flavor out of them if you toast them up a bit before you use them. That allows the oils to come out and really deepen the flavor of them. I'd say we got a couple of handfuls in there. We're gonna make a pesto sauce, so I always put pine nuts in my pesto. Delicious. Everybody puts pine nuts in their pesto, right? Classic basil pesto genovese. Well, today is kind of a takeoff on that. We're gonna do a combo of basil and tarragon, which I think are very related in taste. They're both kind of sweet and licoricey and just delicious. Now I'm gonna put a lid on our pasta pot there so the water comes up to a boil quicker. And let's start talking about the veggies here. Let's start with the haricots verts. Haricots verts, that's just French for green beans. And they're very skinny and delicate and just pretty in this recipe. All right, I'm gonna pile up all these ends together here. I think I could do this last bunch in one swoop. I don't wanna leave them, a few stragglers here. There we go. Last bundle. It's a little bit time consuming, but if you take the time to pile them all together, it makes the trimming so much easier. Done. Garbage bowl that. Now, these are already, not too long, not too big, so I'm just gonna make one cut down the middle of the whole pile, and that'll be about the size and the shape of the penne. We'll pile that off to the side. We'll end up putting them all into the green bean bag there. So 1 medium zucchini, it's not too fleshy in the middle. Here's what I'm gonna do. Cut off the ends, and then cut them into strips, and then take my strips, cut those into sticks, and cut the sticks across into little penne-sized pieces. Now the asparagus, this is ½ pound. I had some as a side dish the other night, but you remember how to trim it, right? These guys are already trimmed, but you just hold it at both ends, give it a little snap, and wherever it breaks, that's your guideline for where to cut the asparagus. Once you get all the nice tender tops together, line them up in a row. And you might want to cut these at a bit of an angle, sort of like penne is the name for the quills of a pen, and that's the pasta we're using, and they're cut on kind of an angle. So you just want to cut those on an angle as well, right down there. And we're just going to pile them all up here together. Let's gather up some more ingredients and get our pesto sauce made. I'm going to grab a big bag full of herbs I've already got prepped and ready to go. I'm going to grab celery heart, a nice big piece of Parmigiano-Reggiano, really yummy. And I'm gonna grab some portobello mushroom caps. I'm gonna need 1 lemon for our pesto and some garlic. This is such a nice, easy pesto, but once you learn the method of making a pesto, and you've probably already made them at home, but it's so much fun to experiment with the ingredients. You could make an artichoke heart pesto. You could make spinach pesto. You can change up the nuts. You could change up all the different herbs that you use. So this is just a nice variation on a theme, let's say. Let's start with the herbs. Let's talk about these first. I think this is a nice complement here. Now, basil, that's gonna be our primary. If you've made pesto genovese or your basic pesto at home before, you've worked with this, right? You just get the nice leafy tops all together. I find about 20 leaves or so makes about a cup. We want about a cup of basil leaves in there. Maybe a couple more. Excellent. And then I'm gonna add some nice licorice in there. The licorice flavor is gonna come from fresh tarragon. I love the sweet licoricey taste of it, and I think it's just such a nice pair to the basil. Basil is super sweet to me, so the licoricey leaves of the fresh tarragon make a nice companion, a nice buddy. I'm gonna do, maybe 5 or 6 sprigs of that in there. Now these are very tender. See this? How this tarragon is, kind of wilting over like that? That's because it's very young and tender, but usually the stems are pretty woody. So I try and pull the leaves off as gently as possible and just get the leaves in there, not the stems. Parsley, our next ingredient here, well, it's easy to go ahead and use up a little bit of the stems in here. That's fine. Parsley stems have a nice bright flavor just like the tops. And I'm gonna reserve some of my flat leaf parsley here. That's for my salad that we're gonna make in a minute. I'm gonna take the rest, gather up the stems to the bottom, but you don't have to be too careful about it. It's a great use for the stems, actually. Now, I always put parsley into just about any pesto I make. You know why? Because it helps the pesto keep a nice bright green color to it. Okay, so let's get that off to the side. Plus, it's got a great flavor, right? I'm gonna zest a lemon in here next. I think the citrusy action with the licoricey flavors and the sweet basil just really works together quite nicely. And it turns this into sort of a four-season dish. This is an excellent dish even in the summer, although I would recommend serving it cold rather than hot. Now we're gonna get 1 clove of garlic in there. We'll just pop it and drop it. Boom. Pull the skins off, throw those in the old garbage bowl. In goes the garlic. Let's do a little bit of salt and pepper next. And then I've got a nice big piece of Parmigiano-Reggiano. Not Parmesan, Parmesan, S-A-N, that's domestic cheese that's made to taste like Parmigiano-Reggiano. But I think Parmigiano-Reggiano is such an important ingredient, especially when you're making something like a pesto. Get the real deal. You know, this is aged at least 18 months and it has a really nutty, wonderful aroma and flavor to it. So you're gonna grab a grater here, just put it right over the top. And you want the equivalent of a couple of handfuls. And just grate away in there. And then we're good to go. We're just gonna turn it on and stream in our EVOO. Oh, our pine nuts, of course. We gotta get those in there, right? Okay. Almost there. We can always add more cheese to it later, too, as we're tossing it all together. Yep, we got a little heat off the nuts. Let's put those in there. And we're good to go. Pop it on, let it rip. And then stream in your EVOO, your extra virgin olive oil, until it's a consistency you like. I like a nice thick pesto because I add a little bit of the cooking liquid right before I mix the pasta and the pesto together. So we're good there. Once the pasta's going a couple minutes, guys, you can drop your whole collection of vegetables right into the same cooking water. It's so cool. This is an easy cleanup meal, great for vegetarians or meat eaters. It's awesome. And, you know, you could even serve this, speaking of a nice summer meal, you could serve this cold in the summer months. I'm gonna take out a little bit of this starchy cooking liquid here. Oh, I got a little piece of zucchini in there, but that's okay. I'm gonna add this to my pesto. Now, the pesto, remember, was a mixture of basil and tarragon and flat leaf parsley with your usual suspects, the garlic and the cheese and the pine nuts and the olive oil. Now I'm turning it into a nice sauce here by adding a little bit of that hot cooking liquid. It thins it out a little, and the starchy liquid helps it stick right to the pasta. Now, I cooked the veggies, my combination of asparagus and haricots, those thin green beans, and zucchini, all in the same pot. I started the penne first. Ooh, remember to get penne with lines, penne rigate. The lines help oil-based sauces stick to the pasta better. So now I'm gonna drain off the veggies and the pasta. You start the pasta first, then a few minutes into the cooking process, you add the veggies. You wanna pull the veggies when they still have a nice bright color and a good bite to them, just like you want a good bite to the pasta, al dente pasta. Give that a good drain. You don't want too much liquid in with our sauce. And then we'll dump it right back into our dish here. Let's make sure we can still toss it. I still have a little bit extra here, but I wanna make sure we can toss it. I'm gonna get a few more veggies in there. Now, if you're watching your carbs too, whether you eat meat or don't eat meat, this is a great meal for you because there's tons of vegetables and a little bit of pasta all mixed up together in a really healthy, tasty sauce. Oh, look at that. The colors and the fragrance. Remember, you could use this terrific pesto if you do eat meat on top of meats as well. You could make some nice grilled chicken or fish and put the pesto down over the top, be delicious. In the summer, you could serve this as a cold pasta salad or even a cold pesto potato salad as well. Nice. I think that's fine.